Hi, this is Micornus, Phokane, the leader and the founder of the Young Men Empowerment Forum. We are dealing with this wonderful topic that speaks about things that you need not bother about because they are out of your control. Things that you need not bother about because they are out of your control. And I want you to be aware as a young man that things that are out of your control, if you bother about them, you are actually just destabilizing your mental health. You are confusing yourself and you end up actually being depressed of the things that you cannot control. And that is very key that we speak about that. The first thing that I want to embark on today is don't bother about other people's boundaries because they are out of your control. Don't bother about other people's boundaries because they are out of your control. Boundaries, what are we speaking about? We're speaking about the limits of other people and lines that they've drawn against other people, things that they've done to protect themselves for people not to get into their spaces. Remember that as human beings, each one of us have got our own space and comfort zones and so on. And therefore, you will have boundaries around you. Boundaries of who is to get inside that boundary and who is not allowed in that boundary. You've got boundaries of what you like in your life and what do you not like in your life. You've got boundaries like what will be places where you would go and where are the places, which are the places that you would not go. And you'd know that these boundaries are actually reigning or they're actually controlling our lives. And these are boundaries that are set by ourselves based on either our beliefs and also our personalities can contribute towards that. And sometimes these boundaries are controlled by our visions and purposes of life, whereby you create boundaries to certain people and certain issues and situations in your life based on the vision that you have in your life, based on the purpose that you have as an individual. Now, I want to emphasize that those boundaries that we're speaking about, you've got some yourself, based on all these aspects that you've mentioned. But everyone else have got their own boundaries. But it is a temptation for one to worry about other people's boundaries, which are beyond your control. For an example, there are many people that you may think that they should be your friends, but they are not your friends. And they are having boundaries that are not allowing you to come in. There are times when they will invite everybody else to their parties, to their birthday parties, to their celebration of their weddings and celebration of their anniversaries and so on. And sometimes you count yourself to be part of them, and yet you don't get an invite. And you get so hurt and broken inside, and you are worried about it, but this is somebody else's boundary. You are not allowed in that boundary according to them. And therefore, you are worried about that, and you feel like, how can this person not invite me because I think I'm important in their lives? Remember that boundaries are made by the people themselves. So therefore, they know who is important within them, important to them, and the people that are not important to them. You may regard yourself as important to certain individuals while they don't regard you as important. And I want to emphasize this as a young man. That many of the people that you call them your friends or you call yourself their friends, you may find that you don't even feature on the top 3 of the people's friends, and you think that you are their friends. And this is a very crucial point, that as a young man, you should learn that people decide their own boundaries. They decide who is their friends. They decide who is not their friends. Don't regard yourself as a friend of someone while you're not sure whether that person takes you as a friend, because you're going to get hurt. As I've given an example, that they will invite everybody else to their party, and they may not invite you either. And this is boundaries that we're talking about. People have got boundaries. And when people have made boundaries, and you must be careful that you don't actually get into people's boundaries that they don't want you to be. So therefore, don't get crushed if people have organized parties and they never invited you. You might think that these are your friends. You might think that these are people that by right they were supposed to have invited you. You might even give a reason for them and say maybe they forgot you. And you may find that they didn't forget you. It's just that you were not actually a friend enough to be invited in this particular invite. Now, this is the boundaries that people have made for themselves, and it is out of your control to start worrying about other people's boundaries. Be careful as a young man that you know your own boundaries and keep your own boundaries, because these are the ones that you can control. Manage your own boundaries and never start worrying about other people's boundaries. Because when you worry about other people's boundaries, you are basically going to hurt yourself. You're going to find yourself actually worrying about things that you need not worry about. I'm emphasizing this because it is very important that you don't actually hurt yourself by worrying about other people's boundaries. Now, the next thing that I want to speak about today, that's very important as well, is out of your control, need not bother about, but majority of us sometimes worry about these things, is what we call what other people think of you. What other people think of you. Now, remember that it's not actually in your control for you to control on what people think about you. People think what they want to think about you. People have got opinions, as I've said in the past, that they've got opinions about you themselves. They may think evil. They may think good. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you've got no control of their thoughts. There are people that think that you're obese. There are people that think that you are a horrible individual. There are people that think that you are unfriendly. There are people that think that you're not kind. There are people that think that you're corrupt. There are people that think that you are not a friend, worthy to become a friend to them. Now, that is what they think about you. But you cannot control that. And what I want to just emphasize is that don't live by people's thinking about you. Don't live and say, because people think this way about me, that is how I am. Because you're not made by people's thoughts as an individual. Now, people's thoughts are their own opinions. It's their own thinking about you. But that might not be exactly what you are. And therefore, don't live your life based on what people think about you, because that may confine you to a space where you don't become the better version of yourself, because you've been prescribed by what people think about you. And some of you as young men, you'll realize that your life has actually panned out to become what elderly people thought about you when you were growing. They thought that you are this child that's going to be naughty. And they kept on saying this naughty one. They kept on calling you names about naughtiness and so on. But as a young man, I want you to shake yourself off from those chains and rise up to become the real version of yourself. And don't live according to the standard of the thinking of other people. And sometimes they go to an extent of naming you. And some of you have been given names that elderly people have thought you are. But I want you to shackle yourself. And if it comes to a point whereby that name that you've been given by the elderly people is a name that is influencing you negatively, because names have got a certain way of affecting or influencing you. And there are people that live up to their names. Now, I want you to be careful of that you are still having opportunity to change those names that are untoward, because those names may have been formulated because they are the thoughts of your parents. They were the thoughts of the elderly people that named you those names. But if that name influenced you negatively, it actually holds you back from being successful. It actually draws you back and limit your success and limit your potential as well. So please make sure that you shackle yourself off from that particular name and come out of the thoughts of other people. You cannot control that, but I must emphasize that what you can control is what is within you. So you cannot control what other people think about you. But there are things that are effects of what people think about you that you may be able to control. And shackle yourself out of that and become a person of potential and a successful young man that you're supposed to be, not because of what people think about you, but what you think about yourself. It is very, very important. And also, I want to warn you that you are made by God, not by people. So therefore, the opinion of God is the most valuable opinion, or the thoughts of God about you are the most important ones, not the thoughts of other people about you. And I want to emphasize that people may think untoward about you, but God will always think good about you. So as a young man, please rely on God's thoughts about you, not the thoughts of people about you. I want to end up here today, your host, Micornus Phokane. I hope that you've learned something out of this. And as we check out today, remember our Facebook page, Young Men Empowerment Forum. Like that Facebook page, click notification button. Facebook page, Micornus Phokane, like it and click notification button. And also remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is now popular by now. And I'm sure you would subscribe and be part of it and learn out of it as a young man. And let this help you as you live your life. Don't live your life as of opinions of people, but your life is that which is made by God. It has got a purpose. You've got a vision. Please drive towards your vision, live your purpose as a young man, and become the greatest version of your own life. I want to check out right here now your host, Micornus Phokane, leader and founder of Young Men Empowerment Forum. Allow me to check out here and say cheers for now.